Okay, so one of the things you'll notice once we've cleared the room, if there's no other entries in and out of this room, this is our only one, we don't need to go all the way through the room and check every single corner. At the same time, you notice that we lower our weapons. If we stay out like this the entire time, number one, we're going to fatigue our shoulders. The other thing we're going to fatigue is our eyes. We're going to get so focused on the end of this barrel on the sight that's how you end up with bad shoots. So you want to make sure if there's no actual threat, get that weapon into a comfortable low ready. You can have it here or down here, or you can see with Michael on his rifle, he's got his sort of at a low port, but he could also have it up on his shoulder. Either way, as long as it's in a comfortable light position. We're going to run this one more time. This time, we're not really going to tell you how we're going to do it, which one of us is going to pan, but we're going to actually put a threat inside the room. Now, the threat is over near the camera. So what you're going to see is the start of a pie or a pan of the doorway. Whichever one of us is that person doing that pieing, they're going to see the threat. And so the second person has to react to that first, because that first is going to engage that threat. Once they engage that threat, they're going. Once that person starts to go, that second person has got to be ready. They can't be daydreaming because they've got to cover that person's back once they enter the room. So we're going to run through this one more time where we have the threat. At this point, once he's engaged that threat, we know there was a threat in here. You see we've got some limited entry, but we're not froze in the doorway. We're on either side. He's engaged that threat. There's no other entry into this room, but are we sure that threat is down? And the answer to that is no. So now we have to make a decision. If he engaged the threat, I would say the SOP is, since he engaged the threat and he knows what's going on, he should go up and check that threat to make sure that they're down. If he does that, I've got to cover him. Number one, we want to make sure there's no other threats in the room. We got to make sure we cover our rear. But at the same time, that threat could still be a threat. They could roll over with a pistol on their hands or something like that. So in this case, I would have to cover him while he went over on that. And then from there, we restack on the doorway to head back out. So going over some of the pros and cons of the one-man pine versus the two-man pine. Obviously, if the one man does the pine, the biggest problem you have with that is there is a split second where the two man has to fill that back hole, that gap. We've already seen that there's no threat, but a threat could always pop in. So there is a period of time that there's no weapon actually looking inside to the back corner here. But the advantage is it's usually probably a little bit faster because the one man's already approaching and kind of knows what they're doing. The two man doing the pine is advantageous because the one man holds that corner and never releases that. So no matter what occurs inside the room, that one man has already got a weapon down and ready to go. Two man's able to come across. If you'll also notice the first rotation we did, that Michael gave me a head nod, that's him asking permission to move. That's what we teach. That's our technique. You can do it however you want. But he gave me the head nod, so as soon as he did, I lowered my weapon. As soon as you saw my weapon lower, he moved, I moved. If we could look at the footwork, you'll notice how my feet were on this. I purposely put my feet awkward. And the reason behind that, you notice that there was a little bit of a hesitation on my move in there following him. If you notice on the second rotation, I was giving him permission to go in front of me because I already kind of knew there was no threat at that point on my side. So I lowered my weapon. But you also can notice at my footwork that I didn't waste a bunch of steps. As soon as he was by me, we were pretty much almost both in the doorway at the same time, so that there was really no time that his back was exposed to any potential threats. Anything you want to add to that, Michael?
So the one thing that I'll add to it is notice how we made an X pattern entering the door. The reason for that is we're both covering each side. We're both taking the path of least resistance to avoid button hooking in the doorway.
And what's the problem with button hooking?
So button hooking can be very awkward, such as with a rifle. You want me to just kind of...
Yeah, go for it. Give it an example.
So if I'm here and I want a button hook, I have to come around this corner like this, versus how Ed and I entered the room. I'm here, and I can just go straight in, punch out, and go. The reason that's important is to avoid that button hook in a home defense scenario, because your adrenaline, everything else is going to be running high. So you can mess up, you can come here, and then you'll try to hit this button hook and you'll hit the wall, and you're giving the threat a chance to react to you entering that doorway.
And let's run a second part to the scenario real quick. So, for instance, let's say that we're on either side like we were earlier. And if I give him the permission to go ahead, or if I ask for permission, so in this case, I'm going to ask for permission, which means now I become that one man. He's expecting me to go path of least resistance. I brain fart. My adrenaline's kicking in. I don't know what to do. What does he do if I decide, ask permission to move, his weapon lowers? What happens if I decide to button hook? Exactly. You see what he did. He didn't try and do his path. There's no set standard that he always goes the path of least resistance or I always go the path. Number two just has to go opposite of number one to protect their back. That's the most important thing. So if I do screw up as the one man going in and try and button hook, he's got to react quickly to it. So the two man has to be a little bit more athletic. Any last minute things you want to add to that?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay.